Hello and welcome back. We are playing as Baguette Centaur slash the Empire of France now that we have cemented the Bonapartists on the throne. We are trying to pass technocracy as well, so we can have that good old monarchist technocracy. We have Charles Bonaparte at the helm, but don't worry, his father isn't really dead. That was just a joke. That was just a bad dream. His father is in fact, still alive. Louis Napoleon Bonaparte, still alive. Alive and well and agitating, as it were. And so we're trying to pass this. Now, we did proc this additional revolution, and we were struggling a lot with the revolution in particular, and we're going to continue to struggle with the revolution, I guess. We have swapped up all the PMs back to being good military. If this revolution's about to pop, what we will do is we will swap all the revving territory down to bad PMs, so we should be able to fight it. It is a little bit spooky. And we want to fight the UK right now, is the biggest thing, because we gotta try and keep juggling the fact that we have truces with some of these guys, you see here, which makes it so they can't join against us, in theory, because they're also humiliated alongside the truce. They are being humiliated by us currently, you see, so they cannot join plays against us, and we want to continue to juggle the humiliations on the GPs in order to kind of facilitate this. And so we are going to start a fight with Great Britain, and we are going to take some more tea off of them. You see this? This is producing tea inside the Great British market. If we take a look at the market tab, we will see our quest to completely remove tea from the British market. It's going pretty well, but we do need a little bit more work. There are some tea plantations creating sell orders in their market. They mostly have to import it, but they have Singapore, Wenzhou, and Tasmania. Now, we are going to be able to get Tasmania here, and also Wenzhou, but we will not be able to get Singapore until we take Johor. This is a bit unfortunate, but I think we have to declare this war now on the Great British, so that we don't encounter a problem where we're getting dogpiled in the middle of a revolution. I think we can fight multiple GPs. I don't think we can fight multiple GPs and ourselves. We are not the dear schizophrenic, late / still alive Louis Bonaparte, so we cannot fight ourselves like he agitated and led the country he was agitating against. And so we will declare on conquer a state for Tasmania, and then we will try and make a reasonable looking sort of thing as the play develops. We will try and see. I don't think they can sway anyone because, again, we're declaring in an area where no one has interest, so they can't sway anyone to their side. Nobody can join unless they put an interest in Australia. The AI doesn't do this, and so we will give them a good shellacking, and we will find other good war goals in addition to taking this treaty port, which will incidentally reopen trade with Great Qing, who has been embargoing us for some time now. So it looks like this this revolution has added a whole bunch of new states when it recalculated, and I don't think we can anymore beat this revolution. And it also is radicalizing people every tick, which is a new feature in 1.3. So I think we're actually just going to come off of trying to pass, trying to usher in the future. We're just going to come off of it and try and do something that is not going to piss off both the armed forces and the landowners. We can piss off one, but I don't think we can piss off both. And so we're just going to come down off of it and look for something a little bit better. This, I think, armed forces, yeah, it's going to piss off both. That's going to piss off somebody. Everything's going to piss off someone. And so passing laws definitely seems to be a lot harder in patch 1.3. And we're just going to try and continue on. Let's actually try and swap to no home affairs, though. The armed forces hate this, but we do want to get on. Well, we want to get on guaranteed liberties. The problem is we need to get on to this first, and we need to go through the gauntlet of these guys. So I guess we'll just come off of it. We'll try and calm down the radicals. I believe we're going to have an SOL that's coming on up. We're doing well overall, and we're just going to look to get in a good war on England, who we have decided on some war goals for. Now, notably, we could not select taking this from them, and I'm guessing it's the same type of bug that's preventing us from taking Singapore. or bug, or whatever you want to call it, feature, where you need to like own the state beforehand. So we might have to fight Great Qing to take that, Johor to take this, if we want to good and truly take all of the tea out of Great British's market. But we did also put in on Lancashire and Yorkshire, which are some good territories, as well as British Mauritania and British Guinea. And so this should be a pretty good war. We're going to fight it the same as the last two times. We also very notably are going to try and humiliate and war reps. The humiliate war reps, just cycling that through, and then we're going to look to get it on the other GPs. This sort of thing is going to make a big deal. We maybe want to fight Mecklenburg next, though. We'll see exactly how that looks, but if we could do that, we might be able to get Prussia, completely deny them access from being able to trade, and this might be good enough to kneecap them. We will see, and we'll see how this whole thing develops. So our quad landing is successful again. We will pile everyone in here. You know, the very classic, how you deal with Great British Navy, you avoid it, slash you don't fight it, slash you fight something else. We also notably lowered taxes because we saw we could get into a higher legitimacy bracket. From here, we will start developing loyalists and additional loyalists from standard of living increases, which we're looking to increase standard of living, especially because we lowered taxes. We're looking to develop enough loyalists that we can start trying to move and shake without kind of having this perpetual revolution. This does seem to be a little bit different in 1.3. You used to be able to really aggressively just crank the taxes up and use it to push construction, and now it might seem a little bit more balanced, where maybe this strategy is not as strong as it used to be. It'll still take some testing, but this is a bit of an interesting point. But it shouldn't take us too long to be able to, you know, clap Great Britain here. We're going to get in on them, and then we're going to see about where things are from there. Unfortunately, we will not be denying them all the tea in this war. We will have to fight Great Qing and Johor before we can do this, but we are taking another step in denying, you know, the Australia territory for that front. Looks like the UK has a little bit of fight left in them, and they pulled a little bit of a sneaky landing on us, so this is going to make the battle a little bit closer and more dynamic. We are going to move another general over, and we're going to recruit a general. We have a bunch in the North Africa HQ. Maybe we should use them. Let's recruit up a general here, and this Honorable Boyo, which is a new one of these. Attrition risk, interesting. We're going to promote him up, and we're going to let him come in and try and help us out over here. And so hopefully we don't get pushed too much here before we get in on these fronts, and we can maybe even gain some territory back. Now we are also pushing on this front. We're occupying the capital, and things are looking really good despite, you know, this troublesome landing. And we have a couple of guys that are not assigned anywhere, so we'll assign them up and get everything going. And this front, these fronts should work out pretty well as long as we don't get like unassigned, and these types of things will be continuing on pretty nicely here. And we get an enforcement off here, or we can propose a peace deal that they will accept, and they accept it. And so now we have the good, beautiful Lancashire and Yorkshire, which we will incorporate into our territory pretty readily here. And then we will look immediately onwards to kind of find another big war. And if I recall correctly, the next person who we developed a truce with was Prussia and Russia when they declared war on us, and we no longer have a truce with them. But we also don't want to fight both simultaneously if we can avoid it. You know, they can also do another, cut down to size CB on us. And so it's kind of a little bit tentative what we should be going for, but I think what we've been having some problems with radicals and this sort of stuff, and we would love to have more legitimacy, which kind of leaves us at, there's only really one thing to go for, and that's Beijing. And if we go for Great Qing, there's really a lot of stuff we can grab, in addition to grabbing Zhejiang, so that we can later grab Wenzhou, which is part of Zhejiang, if I'm not mistaken, on my geography points. So that we can help to deny the Great British Tea. So we will put in a war goal for taking Beijing, and then we will see how things develop. Beijing is going to be very, very nice. The reason why it helps our legitimacy, of course, coming in here is the Forbidden City, which gives extra authority and legitimacy from including the head of the state and government, which can help us to get up to a high legitimacy, so we can start getting these loyalists, so we can start, you know, unwinding these problems that we're experiencing here, which are quite problematic as far as problems go. I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're doing in the capital in terms of building up our manufacturing base. We have started to build up to 51 some things, and we are having huge labor problems, and we're hoping to resolve them largely. And part of the labor problems are the fact that we conscripted here, and we have a ton of barracks that we built up here. But part of how we're going to try and solve these labor problems is overbuilding the railways, since the max amount you can get kind of coming this way, or the max amount of immigration that you can get to a state is based off of the infrastructure, and so we're going to look to push the infrastructure up a little bit, but I think we can, you know, kick these textile mills back to the bottom of the queue, because they're not going to get employed anyways, and maybe look to 51 someplace else, you know, on the textile mills as far as like all this kind of comes through. So we're going to take a look, and we see Lancashire has a lot, Normandy has a lot. Why don't we look to push it up in Normandy, because we have a ton of labor there in Normandy, and so we're just going to try, and we're actually just going to 51 it here, and so this is going to be equal to, what is this, 50, and then 1, and then we're of course going to need extra railways here in Normandy, so we'll put those at the front of the queue, and then we're going to come in and find the textile mills in Isle-de-France, and we'll just kick them back to the back, so we can push the Normandy ones first in particular. To help facilitate this, we're going to see if we can trade with anyone to import particularly fabric, which we're going to need more of, but I very much doubt that there's going to be too many trade partners. We're mostly embargoed by the rest of the world. We're also going to need silk. I said we're going to need silk. Wow, can we really not import silk? We can't import silk from anyone. So this is a little bit of a struggle for us, but we are starting to get some of these landings coming in, so we'll slow down the speed and see how things are going to go. We notably don't have as large a navy as the UK, and so these landings will be a little bit tougher, but we have 5 coming in, and hopefully one of them will stick. And it looks like this is probably going to be the one that sticks. They only have 1 offense, but man, do we have way more troops than them, and so it's going to get in. They, of course, are running the Malice because they are the amount of ships available, in this case 7, cannot support the landing, but it doesn't matter because we're tying up troops, and we get the cut down to size CB against us, which is going to be a little bit uncomfortable. It looks like Austria is no longer going to be helping us here, and so we are going to try and move some guys to some fronts. But this is going to be kind of rough for us here. So we're going to move a few guys to fronts. Hopefully Prussia doesn't join this, but we are going to need to activate the rest of our conscripts. This is not ideal. We are using some military out of both North Africa and out of England, and so this is going to be good on that front at least, because we can conscript out of all these places. To try and get a little more juice out of what's going on, and we will also be taking a look at what we can maybe take off of Russia as the thing develops, because there's a good shot that Prussia joins. We don't want Prussia to join, but it is what it is. So we're probably going to try and wrap up the Qing War as fast as possible so we can attend to, you know, the double GPs coming in at us, which is likely going to be what the case is here. And so we'll see what will happen. Alright, so this guy gets kicked off or cannot kind of get to this front, so we'll just assign him to the front. This other guy, if we can promote him, we will, but looks like we can't. We will come in here and we'll put the army strategic objective as Beijing. We are just going to try and really occupy and stick in on Beijing. We are escorting some convoys here, and then we're going to keep an eye on how this is developing, because there's a good shot that Prussia joins against us here. Now we are seeing a bunch of these guys that are part of failed landings are going to get unassigned. So we're just going to assign them all over here, especially these little guys, and look to maybe get something done, you know, here before this. Yeah, if we get pushed back off of this, this would be really not good ideal for us. It's unfortunate that this is the way the mechanic works, where it sends them all the way back to France when they were just trying to land here when this fails, so the reassign takes a long time in order to get in, but we will see how this Russia thing develops. But, well, actually, let's just see in real time how it develops, but it's probably not going to be looking too terribly good. Yeah, we're in some rough shape up here, but not super rough. Let's see if we can recruit any generals from any HQs. We do have a little bit of extra guys in the Rhine HQ, but only one Rhine general. Why don't we just recruit another guy out of here, and we're going to mobilize, and we're going to put him over here. Well, we're going to put him actually up here where we don't have a lot of guys yet, and look to just spread it out a little bit, and look to see how this thing develops. Really hoping Prussia doesn't join. If Prussia doesn't join, we can maybe fight both of these wars simultaneously. It's rough because we have to wait for all these guys to come on in. But it looks like we're going to win the first battle here as this develops. And it looks like Prussia's not joining. So this is going to mean we're going to put in a bunch of other war demands on Russia. So we are going to come back once we have declared all of what we're trying to get from them, which should be pretty substantive amount. So war has broken out with Russia. It's not looking super good. We put in a bunch of war goals. Unfortunately, we actually didn't have interest in kind of the area we would want to go for. We would want to go for Perm and Ural, these resource areas. So we had to settle for a bunch of the Polish land, which is quite good as well. And it's looking like our guys have gotten there in Beijing, and it looks like it's just a matter of time before we enforce here. You know, we can kind of take a few ticks here, but these battles are going to be going quite well for us. And so the question is can we just make sure that we can hold a little bit over here before we can get in? And it looks like our guy got booted back to Occitania, which is kind of okay with us because we're going to move him on over here, and he should be able to get a bit of a decent push here. And so we'll move another guy from here up here so we can push here, and then we will probably, with a lot of these guys that get bricked or get sent home after being in Beijing, once these guys kind of finish out, what we're going to do is we're going to send them to do landings on the Russian capital, and hopefully this plays out pretty well. It's looking like it's going to play out pretty well. We'll see kind of how close they are to wanting to give it all, and they're not even close to wanting to give anything up, but we'll just grind them down, and hopefully we can get in on them and, you know, kind of fight this two-front war in an efficient way using landings from the guys who are coming home from Beijing. So it looks like Beijing will take the full peace deal. Now, we are cutting things pretty close here with the money, and so we might need to chill out just a little bit and actually roll back some of our military after we finish this fight. We certainly won't need a very large military moving forward, or this size of military, and I think I know where we're going to wind it down. We're probably going to wind it down in the capital because we overbuilt there quite a lot, kind of fearing this impending revolution, and as the revolution doesn't come, we will look to kind of use it there, and also this will allow us to kind of, Belle Epoque. Let's see, let's make sure we get the little screen grab. We get ourselves an achievement here with Belle Epoque. I don't even know what that's for, so let's just take a quick look at the achievements tab and see what we've in fact sort of gotten with the Belle Epoque, however it's pronounced. Very hard. It's not a very hard achievement, you don't say. Is it not going to tell us? Starting as France, have the highest GDP per capita and innovation generation in the world. Makes sense. We will be getting war reps off of China as well now. Let's make sure they have access, because that's going to be kind of a big deal. And they don't have access, so we will, in Beijing, of course, build ourselves a port and put that at the front of the queue. Hopefully now we can also take the tea here from Great Britain, and we do have a few boyos that are now available for doing some landing. So we're going to come in and we're going to land as much as we can here. We're going to land this 89 stack. We're going to land the 90 stack. The loud cars are going to be outside, but we're going to look to, no, we're just going to all land in the same spot, all on the capital, you know, look to kind of push this. We really want to put down our conscripts. It's a shame you cannot deactivate conscripts because we really don't need these many guys anymore, and we are paying a whole lot for military goods, but once we can get these guys kind of get these guys ported up, they should be in good shape. We're gonna just delete the barracks. There are actually like fine places to have the barracks, but we're looking to kind of downgrade some of our barracks and downgrade an amount of military, and so we're just gonna downgrade it here because these guys can't get the military goods anyways, and so we'll just continuing on and just look to kind of dodge this as we kind of break this up. We have some isolation going, we got some other stuff going, we're also got some bureaucracy to spend, but we'll get it all done and set up. So we just unlocked mutual funds, and notably, this unlocks commercialized agriculture, and it unlocks publicly traded in all the manufactories, but it does not directly unlock publicly traded in the rural goods anymore. So now you have to do a little bit of extra steps, where you, in order to get on publicly traded, you do have to pass a law. So we'll take a look at what the law looks like here, and we can see, instead of tenant farmers, we can try and pass commercialized agriculture. It will radicalize the landowners, but just the landowners alone, I think we can take this, but we will look to have it on up because this is in the direction of what we want. And then we will also be turning on all of the publicly traded on all of this industrial stuff and getting all that wound up as we try and finish out this war, which should be pretty easy because we have these landings coming in, and so it shouldn't take too terribly long. But this is an interesting thing where it is a departure. We're kind of like looking at the land reforms and experiencing a little bit. Let's actually just take another quick look at these, experiencing a little bit how things work, where eventually we probably will want to go to homesteading. But let's see, in order to pass this, what do we need? Can we just pass it? Okay, well, I don't see exactly where. Maybe we could have passed homesteading instead. We definitely want commercialized agriculture. I know collectivized agriculture does require command economy, but homesteading will be good kind of once you get to super high GDP. But this is kind of a lot to unpack, so we won't unpack it here. We're just going to unpack these mink coats we're getting from the Russians. Let's go, baby. So we are quite a bit overbuilt here in the capital, and we did finish up our war with Beijing. So I think we're going to come in here and we're going to actually delete a few of these barracks, down to about 40 barracks, which will free up some employment. And we're also going to turn on all the labor-saving PMs specifically here. That way, you know, we can try and employ up. We do have kind of this problem coming from the university employing a lot of people, the construction centers employing a lot of people, and this sort of stuff. So we did kind of get ahead of ourselves in expansion. I did this in the Brazil run as well. Just kind of was a little bit careless, and so had a little bit of trouble, but we are coming on up, and notably we are also in here kind of overbuilding on the infrastructure a little bit. This is intentional because infrastructure gates how many pops can migrate. Hopefully we can figure out a way to go multiculturalism soon, and then we can really siphon off from all these Chinese provinces we just took, and this will really help with the population problems. It might be as simple as, you know, just researching, you know, this sort of human rights will allow us to get let's actually research human rights here instead of dynamite. We are researching ahead of time, but that's okay, because we are just going to build a ton of extra unis, this sort of thing. But let's also come in and take a look, not at institutions, where are we looking? We're going to see if we can get an agitator that's a humanist, maybe? So we're just looking for a humanist agitator, not an authoritarian, not a pacifist, but definitely not some radicals. We're struggling with some of these guys, but we want some humanist agitators, and maybe once we get human rights, this will unlock some humanist agitators. So this is kind of why we're going it now. After this, we will kind of want to go Dynamite, Steam Donkey, Pump Jacks, and hopefully by then we will have commercialized agriculture, and we'll be able to make a little bit of a move towards agriculture and this sort of thing, because generally it's not very good early, because you want to be really capitalist-oriented. Capitalists contribute a lot more to the investment pool, but there are various inflection points, and one of them is when you get Pump Jacks and when you get on commercialized agriculture. I guess now it's commercialized agriculture instead of just publicly traded. Then you can kind of start leaning in just a little bit into the arable land stuff, and especially we need to lean in because everybody's embargoing us, so we do need to build it ourselves, unfortunately. So we have encountered some problems in the last little bit. Currently, we started reaching default zone. The convoys just got wrecked somewhere, and we are paying an enormous amount of money for the equipment of all the people here in the conscription centers. So we need to come and turn this off, because this is part of why we have been hemorrhaging so much money. And I didn't even realize that we had turned it up and we were using all this this military equipment here, and I was like, man, it just feels so bad. Like, we're losing so much money, and we're just getting absolutely wrecked. And so I think we might even turn off all the conscription sort of ones, but we'll definitely turn these off because these guys are still mobilized because they were mobilized in the Great Qing War, and so the mobilization carries over. Unfortunately, even if after we finish this Russia war, we're still going to be on this, and so we're going to try and get a peace deal here, but we are having a big struggles, and we're starting to lose on these fronts. Exactly because we are too weak, because we are in default for a little bit, or for a lot of bit if we don't, manage to get something going. And of course, to top this all off, we do have a revolution brewing. Now this one's relatively small, and I think we actually want the revolution here to pop, and so we will just kind of let it kind of continue on, and then we'll eventually fight it and beat it down. Hopefully. We're encountering some pretty significant problems. Also, I have no idea where the bureaucracy just absolutely getting crushed came from, other than maybe we were getting a lot of our bureaucracy overseas, and then they ran out of access, this sort of stuff. I believe we have market access here. Oh, and we can't finish the port here either. This is cataclysmic. Just lack of access here that is really causing problems. I think we'll delete all the construction center here, Sears, as well. We can't because we're having a revolution brewing. This is a little bit unfortunate how this all turned out, but it is based off of us not having market access here currently when we are trying to get it. I think we might have to wind up taxes a bit and try and get out from under this. The problem is taxes will decrease our credit line when we put them in, and so we will move this guy over here and hope that he can deal with that over there, because we are a little bit busy here. It looks like Russia really doesn't want to capitulate now, which is unfortunate. Looks like we are going to dust that up and just kind of finish all this out over and around and about. But yeah, we are in a little bit of a stressful situation here. And we have another, like, uprising? Jeez. This is not how we drew it up. Not at all. And this has a double front thing going on. That's like, they're just kind of doing a ring around the rosy. Alright, anger on the front. We get an event. We can take this potential. The French war exhaustion increases, or war support. We'll just do that, because we actually want this rev to pop, because I think we want to use this rev opportunity to kneecap the landowners. And I think it's going to come at a decent enough time. It might come a little bit early. Ugh, yikes if it does. But it looks like we're going to be able to decay these guys down to 0, despite the huge problems we're having. Man, it's not even from convoys. Why is it from port connections? Because all these guys are overseas. And it's also, I think we need them here, because these troops that are raised that can't do anything. God, this is so obnoxious. We might even just declare bankruptcy. What all does this do to us? Loan interest rate, state construction efficiency for 10 years, that's the case? That's a big deal. We're not going to do that, but yeah, we need to stop raising all this military is the real problem, but there's no way to stand troops down, unfortunately. We'll max out the taxes, and all these guys will move back to France, which will hopefully fix the convoy thing, which will fix some of the problems. Yeah, well, it looks like it fixes a lot of the problems, because now a bunch of places are getting stuff. Wild. We do want to find a way to turn the construction back on, and can we? But what we really need is we got to make sure that at the front of this queue is this port, this Beijing port. So we're going to kick this to the very, very front of the queue, and we're going to try and resume this, which is going to be expensive, but it should kind of use a lot out of the investment pool, which has gotten quite large. We crushed the Australian secession. Good ups. And we can actually just save a whole bunch of money here right now. We will switch everything to skirmish, but by Not on the territories we took, which we took quite a lot from Russia, but everywhere else, just turning these conscription centers onto regular kind of stuff, we will save ourselves a ton on the military goods. We also want that to be kind of doing the auto thing, and then we will come in and we will go state actions and we will reset the PMs over here, and we will incorporate some of these, not all, maybe all. They are European, so we incorporate them a little bit faster. I think we'll just incorporate all, and then we will look to... We get the petition march, so we can get changed civil war progress. We don't want a traditionalist. Or do we? What is the ideology currently of this guy? He's a radical. I think we actually would like a traditionalist. A little bit. No, the traditionalists won't support our technocracy ideas. I don't think. Oh, it's actually just women's suffrage and this stuff. Well, I think we are fine with this, and then we kind of progress the revolution by 15 ticks, but this will be kind of good for us. Baking powder is unlocked. We will resume the construction, and we will switch to baking powder. And man, this is kind of stressful we got going on, but baking powder here. And we're losing money, but just a little bit of money, and this will stimulate the economy as well. And so I think we will try and decrease taxes just as soon as we're making some money. We'll accept the money of Scotland, sure. Yield alliance. So we'll decrease taxes a little bit here. Unfortunately, we still have guys that are mobilized, which is really, really not ideal. We'll move a few of them over here, because we want our mobilization to come on down, because our mobilization includes conscripts right now. This rev is going to pop soon as well. We annexed the Liberal Revolt, and so we're all in over here, and this is the last kind of one. Landowners get Death of a Martyr. Well, we want this kind of to pop, but we don't want them to get interest group strength, and so we can extend the radicalism a little bit. This seems fine. They're pretty radicalized anyways. And so this rev should be popping unless it's... Oh, it's getting negative progress. That's unfortunate because we're still going to eat all these like ticks and these bad things. But we do get commercialized agriculture here. So now we can turn all of our agriculture into commercial. That is, we can... Oh, it's a force. It's enforced. So it swaps them all over for us. This is fantastic. We'll also just kind of come in and fix up our PMs a little bit kind of everywhere. Not sure where we got some iron mines that weren't part of the thing, but we'll get everything on over. And these, why aren't these enforced on publicly traded? So it's not the plantations, it's just the other ones, but these are now allowed to go publicly traded, or were they allowed to go publicly traded before? I don't see unlocked. Okay, so maybe you can switch plantations early, but not the other farms? That's a bit interesting. Huh. We'll definitely want all the whaling on publicly traded as well, and this on publicly traded. But that is a bit interesting. So we kind of finish up that, and then we just got this war, and then this will be kind of concluding out a very... very stressful episode, but a very productive one. We're notably getting a huge amount off Diplopacts, which is kind of what is keeping our ability to keep constructing afloat. It feels like we've hit like a little bit of a wall, and I think I know that it's from, you know, like, these places aren't employing. We just have so much stuff built that can't employ. And why? Let's just take a look here. It's got high attraction, but it's not super high. I think what we need to do here actually is pay for an edict. So let's take a look. We're encouraging resource industry. We're encouraging manufacturing. Maybe it's time we come off of this encouraging resource decree here in where is it? In Alsace-Lorraine, which encouraging resource, of course, does fall off, and instead we come over to Isle-de-France, and we come in and we put in a encourage greener grass campaign to try and encourage migration to here, because this is going to help us out. Let's double check our migration law. Maybe we just yeah, we do have no migration controls, but man, it is a bit of a struggle. We would love to get on women's suffrage or something like this, but this is not quite in the cards for us yet. But maybe... So if we try and pass technocracy, we will meet the armed forces and the landowners currently. We can kick out Charles Baudin. We can get him to be not he's a Bonapartist, which is why he opposes this, so we can get rid of him and then try and pass it. But I think we just... Oh, our rev stopped. Okay, so I think that's what we do here. So we are going to come in, and we are going to go... Well, first of all, we're going to check for any humanists, because this is kind of what we've been hoping for. We want to go multiculturalism. Haven't seen a humanist yet, so I don't know how easy or hard it is. Of course, we haven't researched human rights yet, so maybe they only appear after human rights has been researched. So this is an interesting inflection point if this is the case. But we're not seeing that there. But what we can do is we can go into government, and we can send this guy a pack-in because he's a Bonapartist. We can send this guy a pack-in, we can retire him, which we will get negative interest group approval, which is fine. And if we retire him, yes, we get, we got a new guy, who's of course, we cannot exile him, because we cannot do it for another 30, or wait, another 2 years. We can't exile a dissident. Okay, that's fair enough. But we just rolled another Bonapartist, which is not quite what we want, because the Bonapartist will support... We won't be able to pass... we won't be able to pass technocracy through this, or the revs have just looked too large. And we can't go... we can't go rights of assembly, which we would want to go. Oh, which is a little bit grim. A little bit grim. Jeez. We could go private health insurance, which wouldn't be a terrible one. We can also go free trade, which is okay. This radicalizes the landowners. Maybe we can go free trade to kneecap the landowners, actually, because this just radicalizes the landowners. And if we can get a fight just against the landowners, we are more than happy to take it. We just don't want to take the landowners and the armed forces simultaneously. And I guess we just won't be adding construction. What's our GDP been looking like? Yeah, absolutely wild situation that was caused by the zero market access here. Hopefully this gets resolved soon, because there's still zero market access. But we are working on this, which is 14 weeks away. Man, it's just so grim. Like, and we get another uprising, and so that is not ideal for us, because, well... this means that we still won't be able to stand our guys down, and we won't be able to start another fight. But I think we're going to conclude this episode here, actually. And we have had, you know, kind of a few points that were pretty big. We fought Great Britain, we got war reps and humiliated them, and we took Lancashire and Yorkshire, and then we kind of pushed into Great Qing, specifically looking for the Forbidden City, which is giving us authority and legitimacy from including the head of state and government, and this is hopefully going to start solving our radical problem. If we take a look, it does look like it's starting to solve it a little bit. It'll solve it a little bit more once we're able to decrease taxes another notch here. And so this will be pretty good. And we also took a lot of dirt off of Russia here that is pretty useful, and it looks like it does have a ton of soldiers in it, and so I think we'll be trying to nuke these soldiers and get rid of them, or we'll be looking to get rid of a lot of soldiers in this HQ or something like this, especially because they're already mobilized, as a way of kind of saving money, and we might be doing that in the interim, just trying to look to the point where we can start cranking up construction again, because it has been a while since we moved construction up, and our army is way bigger than it needs to be, especially considering how we are juggling humiliations. So we'll take a look at what we can do and come on back with the next episode. Hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.